folks? It is a beautiful Wednesday across the United States of America. Larry Ridley here, Esports Extra. It's the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports. We'll take your phone calls, 877-853-5247. Meeting ID is Esports Extra. That is 377-678-9872. Hit that pound button twice to join the show. Larry Ridley here, SNY TV, little NBC Sports, little Madden 2K as well. And we got the crew here. We got the two broskies, and then we got the broskina. She's your queen bee. Yes, Renee Montgomery. Dorian Worrell, he's not in Brooklyn. I was going to say we're Brooklyn, and he ain't in Brooklyn. Where you at, man?
West Palm Beach, Florida.
Which one of the Palm Beaches?
Royal Palm Beach is where I'm at right now.
Oh, Royal. Oh,
okay.
Royal.
Right off of Okeechobee Boulevard.
He's living the good life.
I know. Hey, he's all hoity-toity out there and stuff. What you doing, man? All brand new and stuff. Where you at? I was about to say, Siobhan, I didn't do it. Where you at, Willie?
Down here in Dallas. It's actually cooled down a little bit. That means 97 degrees instead of 105.
You can keep that, dog. Thank you. You can have it. You can have all of that smoke. We don't want none of it. All right, guys, we got a big show. We got a big show. Running a little late today. Kevin Mamuzet, hit him up on Twitter and all that stuff to voice your displeasure if you got any issues with us being late. It ain't our fault. It's his fault. We're talking Oakley Helmets, Eagles Stadium, Patriots Stadium. Little Chris Jones. We're talking Marshall Harris, good buddy of ours, CBS Sacramento will be joining us live. We're talking about the Kings, Rashawn Holmes, Harrison Barnes, Sack Towns, playoff chances. The NBA hotline, not hotline bling. We're talking snitching. We'll get into that. Jimmy Butler, what he's going to put on the back of his name, on the back of his jersey. Not a whole lot back there. Elena Deladon, can't wait to hear from the Broskina. Renee Montgomery to talk about that. The Braves chop the Madden 99 Club, baby. 3 of the 4 are out there. I know who the last one is. I think all of you guys should know by now. And compete forever on Black News Channel this weekend, episode 7. Probably one of the best ones. We opened up the Rivers Casino Sportsbook, the first one in the state of New York. It was packed in there. That was a riot. So we'll just get to that. But let's go ahead and start. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
We got 1 hour to get through. We have to get out here at 8:15, or we have to pay Renee triple time. We can't afford that right now.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all good?
I'm ready.
Renee,
do it.
Just turn to the side so I can see that chrome and
I know you see it. I know.
We ride spinners. We ride spinners. We ride spinners. We ride spinners.
Yeah, I got some new toy, a new toy. So, for a person that talks and stuff like we do, this is exciting for me.
It is. Well, hey man, like my boys 3-6 Mafia, you gotta say I hit the pedal to the middle and you gotta.
Oh yeah, because y'all don't know what he's doing, but there's dials on the side. I've been playing with it. I can, when they say turn me up in my headphones. Nah, I got it on my own.
There we go.
I got it on my own.
Hey,
I'm waiting for the bars now.
Hey, she got them Snoop Dogs, man. I'm telling you.
Everybody from the 313.
Yeah. Shining. Ooh. See, I got the white and rose gold, but those Snoop, that's the top of the line right there. That's what I'm
okay.
You might make me pull out mine, girl. You keep showing up.
Shouts to the broski for the alley-oop. Okay.
I just throw it up. You threw it down. You baptized them, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I'm ready. I can hear everything.
All right, so let's get started. Oakley Helmets, the guys, I know you saw the design, the Ravens helmet there. You look at some of what they're doing to combat COVID-19, to mitigate the spread of the virus. Your thoughts on the face shield, the face guard overall? I know J.J. Watt is not happy. He said he's not playing. He has to put that crap over his face. Your thoughts on these the helmet designs and trying to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus? We'll start with you, Renee Montgomery. You've got 3 titles. We have none.
Yeah, I like it. I just think that they're trying to take every measure to protect the players. I thought that for football, that was going to be a given. I didn't actually think that the players wouldn't like that. So I thought that players would want as much. And I'm looking at the mask now and it looks like multiple layers of protection. I thought that was going to be a good thing, but I always like to listen to the players' complaints because sometimes things I don't think about. I never played football. So if a lot of the players don't want to wear it, then I'm like, okay, maybe they don't need to wear it.
Yeah. Hey, Willie, man, you we're in the professional sports as a scout and other capacities here. Face shields, mouth shields, slowing the spread of COVID-19. You look at it, I mean, it seems like it's doable, but I can understand. Look, I mean, you wonder about being claustrophobic. Now, they're going to introduce this to all 32 teams next week. So we're going to get a real read on it starting next week. Hey, Willie.
Yes, what the players were concerned about is breathability and visibility, and especially when you're on that football field, worrying about getting ear hold or make sure you can see everything in your periphery and making sure you can breathe as well. One of the things that Renee said that really resonates with me is when I was at Nike in sports marketing, our mantra was always listen to the athlete.
Players
right.
first.
And so with that being said, I know we will try to implement something that is meant to be good, but at the same time, we have to look at it from a practicality standpoint to see how it works. And one thing I'd like to say as well is it's awesome that the NFL is moving toward player safety and doing this quickly. But sometimes it seems when we're talking about helmet technology with concussions, it was moving along at a snail's pace. So it's very interesting that they were able to move like this very quickly. And it sort of coincides with them signing that 4-year deal with Oakley last year. So, right. So still a money play there with the NFL.
Follow the money, Durham Worrell. If you followed the money, what sort of rabbit hole would you go down? I want to hear from you.
I like the fact that they're trying to keep everyone safe. My concern, and I don't know what JJ Watt is thinking, is the breathability. I know I wear glasses from time to time, and when I have the mask over my nose and my mouth, it fogs up my glasses. Mm-hmm. Are these guys going to be able to see playing football, especially when it starts to get cold and you start to see your breath? Is it going to fog up and cloud their vision? That's some of the questions I would want to ask and want to know about the mask. Well, I know that the material that they use it for the bottom layer is the same material that they use for the visor. Okay. So I know that the Rams and I think the Chargers are going to be testing these things out.
Yeah, because they're out west. Exactly.
They're out west.
Close. Uh-huh.
So, I mean, these football players have to be able to see.
Antonio.
Yeah. Football players, they have to be able to see.
For Leah, baby. Let's see it for Leah.
Fanboy America. Look at Fanboy right there. Check him out. Wave your pom-pom.
For life.
Wave your pom-pom.
Hey.
He's cute. Look at him. That's awesome.
West Side for life.
Players want to be able to see at the end of the day. They want to see a guy come in. They got to be able to see catch the football, the focus. They don't want any kind of obstruction. So that would be some of my concerns.
All right, we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, next week, going to sort of get the product out to all 32 teams. We'll see if there are any more complaints about it. I do know that J.J. Watt, he wore a visor a few years ago, literally in the middle of practice, slammed his head and got rid of it. It's like, I can't do this. And he says, I'll never wear a visor again. So, look, player safety, we'll see how this is going to play with the league as a whole. All right, let's talk about the NFL stadiums we've seen, and we talked about it from the Dolphins, Steelers. You named some of these other stadiums around the league. Now Baltimore as well. We talked about them with the cap on their stadium. The Eagles, they thought maybe we might put a cap on it, and the city government and the mayor's office like, no. It was weird, interesting. We got different sort of opinions yesterday because they were saying no events unless they're private, no public events in the city of Philadelphia until 2021 of February or through February 2021. Then they're like, well, maybe the stadium, it's public or is it private? Then there was this back and forth dance. And finally, they said, no, we're calling the Eagles. There will be no fans at Lincoln Financial Field. Your thoughts on this? Can you imagine the Phillies playing without any fans? That's one of the most passionate fan bases in all of America in all sports. That is a true rabid fan base there. We'll start with you, Durham.
Safety comes first. And, you have to really see what these governors and the mayors really want to do from state to state, city to city, because it's really their call. The franchises might want to play, but it's going to come down to what is the governor talking about? What is the mayor talking about? And Philly says there's not going to be any fans. And when you start going up north a little bit, look at New York. Well, New York's football teams play in New Jersey, but Governor Cuomo, he pretty much talked about this for months. To see how even with the Yankees, anybody playing, how they'll have any fans in the stands for the rest of the year.
He's got no jurisdiction over Jersey.
That is true, but I'm bringing him up because normally with the tri-state area up here, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, they kind of work together. They kind of talk to one another. So I would not be shocked if the Jets and the Giants have a situation where they might not have any fans either.
Well, you look at these teams, that's 4 of like the top 6 or 8 in attendance every year. I know Philly's up there. I know the Jets and Giants are in the top 10. I know the Patriots up there, Cowboys up there, Packers up there. So this is going to be huge, a revenue loss for those guys. Renee, your thoughts on this? The Eagles, look, they threw batteries at Santa Claus. They had a jail at Veterans Stadium. They booed Santa Claus. They cheered Michael Irvin when he almost broke his damn neck. These fans are about that life.
Listen, I don't know if I'll ever get over. I don't know if I'll ever get over them booing Santa, only because I love Christmas that much. But that tells you they're not with the games, and Philly is just like it. That's part of their strength. So I'm wondering how it's going to affect teams. Like, certain teams rely on that 12th man. Certain people rely on. We call it the 6th man. So, but certain people rely on that. Oklahoma City Thunder. That's part of their gig. So when you have a Phillies, it's the same in football. So I just wonder how it's going to impact the games. I'm just curious because players feed off of that. So football is one of those emotional sports. So I'm just curious, how is it going to affect everyone?
Yeah. Hey, Willie, man, Philadelphia Eagle fans, Philly, cheesesteaks, fans, the democracy, independence. We're talking about Philadelphia, man, not Kansas City. Right. Not Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? Not Pittsburgh. Well, Pittsburgh got a fan base. But so this is Philly, dog.
Right. It's interesting because Lance Johnson actually talked about this to piggyback on what Renee was saying. He actually said when he saw that ruling come down that he was shocked because of how they fed off of the fans and especially when you're again playing that collision sport and you're kind of riding that wave where you make a big play or you pancake somebody and the fans react. So he said that he was shocked, and that's definitely an advantage for them. Then recently, right before we actually started, it's funny. It seems like the Eagles, the organizations sort of dry snitched to the season ticket holders. They said as soon as the ruling came out, they sent out an email to the season ticket holders immediately. And then they actually started putting pressure on the city. So now the city has come out and said, right before we started recording, they actually came out and said, well, you know what? Maybe it's not such a hard stance. We can kind of revisit. And Yeah. So
see, it was like that all day yesterday. It was back and forth. First, it was like, oh, well, the Phillies are exempt. Well, is it a public stadium? If it's private, then you can have large gatherings. If it's private, but I'm like, no, does the city own it? Then it was like a back and forth. What are we doing?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's one of the famous lines in Boys in the Hood: peer pressure. Right. So as soon as they sent that email to the fan base, the people got in an uproar. Philly was like, hey, like Smokey said in Friday, you can't mess with my money. Right. And this is really messing with our money. So I need to recoup some of that. So let me go ahead and send this email to these fans and get them up in a frenzy and in a tizzy. Sure. And then let's see if we can put some public pressure on the government to not have such a hard stance. So they're going to revisit. So it's very interesting. Dry snitching is something else.
Dry snitching. D-Dub's about 30 seconds. I got to get this thing moving.
I tell you what, we're going to see what that mirror is made of because the Philly fan base, they don't play. They're not for play. So we're going to see if he's going to stick to his guns or is he going to, cave in and say, well, we'll allow 10,000 in. Kind of like how the Patriots are doing.
See, look, you stop doing that. You be still in thunder, man. Don't do that.
I'm saying.
It ain't 10,000 to begin with.
It's 14.
Okay, that's better. 20%. Back on Durham Worrell. That's my guy. Actually, it's a little more than that now. Think about it. Because 20% of Gillette Stadium, if it holds about 68, almost 70.
It's 13 and some change.
It's 13,175 to be exact.
14 times 5.
I wrote it down.
14 times 5.
Tell him, D.
So, let's talk about the Patriots real quick. I think they're doing what most teams are going to do, which is you're going to have about 20%. You got to have enough where, what I think they said, about 10 seats in between each fan or something like that. Give or take 10 feet, 10 seats. So, yeah, you're looking at Derwin's right. It's a little less than 14,000 because that would be 70,000 there. This freaking guy.
It pains you to say Derwin's right. Like, it pains him to say it.
This guy.
Get him right, D.
When he's right, you got to commend him. You pat him on the back.
I like that.
I pat him on the back. Hey, man, clap it up for Derwin.
Yeah. Give him my just due.
He
Look
was
how
right.
excited he is to clap it out.
Yeah, this is like the second time he's been right, man.
Oh, stop it.
In like 4 months. Not bad. Yeah, you guys' thoughts on it. Go ahead, take it. All of you jump in there. Go ahead.
No, I think they're playing chess. I just would say like Philly's playing chess with that one. You know, they didn't go back and fight the mayor. They didn't. They was just like, all right, we're just going to relay the information. They knew it was going to happen, but they just was like, all right, well, let's just inform the season ticket holders right away. That's chess.
That is.
Facts.
Antonio, your
Facts.
thoughts on the Patriots, the 20% cap at Gillette Stadium, aka the Razor?
Well, like we always say, we got to read the fine print, right? And even with the Patriots, the governments of Massachusetts said that will be the case. They'll have those 13,000 and change once the state gets to phase four. Right. So it's reading between the lines, right? That fine print. And phase 4 is when we have some sort of a remedy that's effective or a vaccine. So
Therapeutic or
again,
vaccine, absolutely.
Right. So semantics are big in this one. And so people saw that 13,000. They're like, yeah, we can go, and didn't read the fine print. Right. So
Read between the lines.
D-Dub, I see you shaking your head. Go ahead, bro.
So if you're waiting for a vaccine, I don't expect a vaccine in the fall, to be honest with you.
Facts.
So,
No, not at all. No.
so I don't know. I don't know if any Patriot fans are going to be able to go to the games. And Patriot fans are not like Philadelphia Eagle fans. It's a totally different animal, in my opinion. But
No, it's a wine and cheese crowd. I will give you that. For
Yeah.
a team that was so good, it's a quiet place because they've been winning for like 20 years.
see,
So.
the Philly
Facts.
fans,
Yep.
It's wine and cheese.
they might hurt you. So me personally, I would like to see no fans, period, for all 32 teams. That's just me. I
would like to see some standards here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Whatever is
Exactly.
decided upon, it needs to be across the playing field. Because can you imagine 4 games in a row, there's no fans and it's dead silent. Then you go to a gym where even if there were a stadium where even if there was a little bit of people, that's a difference. That's an advantage.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
We'll see, man. I guess, you look at some of these, guys, I'm sorry about that, guys. You look at some of these, these franchises, they're trying to make the calls. You're looking at, the CBA, they're working on that. Training camp could start in the next, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, July 28th. So there's not a lot of time. They got to test these helmets out. There's a lot going in the National Football League. We're looking at less than 2 weeks before everything. There's going to be a confluence, guys, of all 4 sports August the 1st. All of them will be in the middle of action. I think it's going to be a very exciting time. So we'll see what happens there. Chris Jones, real quickly before Marshall Harris calls in, sports director for CBS Sacramento. Your thoughts on the deal with the Chiefs, the big defensive lineman, very instrumental in their defense. Still, numbers-wise, not a very good defense, but they're opportunistic, make plays when they need to. They can be shredded at times, but he's the best player on the defense, especially amongst the front 7. 4 years, up to $85 million, $60 million guaranteed. I think, once again, the Chiefs are like, we basically got a year or two to sign everybody because the Mahomes deal really doesn't smack them until about year 3 or 4. Your thoughts on this, A. Willie?
No, I totally agree. And important deal for them to get done to make sure that you continue to ride that wave and try and capitalize on your championship window while you can keep everybody in place. And again, as you said, Larry, for a defense that is not very good, to lose him.
Statistically speaking, yes, but they made plays. They played well in the playoffs when they had to.
Yes, but to lose him and to lose one of your playmakers on a defense that is opportunistic would have been really big. And you also didn't want, especially Patrick Mahomes signing his deal, you want to ride that wave, that good feeling, and continue to build that momentum, try to get that championship again.
Yeah, D-Dubs, Dynasty, they're talking about being dynastic. I think they've got a 3-year window, and it started, well, actually, they had a 4-year window because they lost to the Patriots the year before last, won it last year. They're going to be the favorites this year. I like the signing of Chris Jones, man. But you know what? The chickens will come home to roost, and that's going to be very soon.
Yeah, but those chickens ain't going to come home for another 2 years. So
That's
they're
true.
doing what they have to do right now.
Yep.
Try to make a couple of moves. Iron is hot. You don't have to worry about it for another year. After that, your next big sky is probably Travis Kelsey. And he'll be like 30, 32 by that time.
Cheetah's going to need his money. Sammy Watkins, Honey Badger.
I'm not worried about.
I can do this all day.
I'm not worried about Sammy Watkins.
Okay,
Cheetah.
then you're going to win. What, Cheetah?
No.
What? Did you just say
you basing it on just the Cheetah?
Hey.
Dude, that's the.
No, listen. Your main guy is Patrick Mahomes. That's your guy.
Course, but
so he makes everybody around him better. Cheetah's good. He's fast. He's fast and he's good. But he ain't Jerry Rice now. Come on.
He's the fastest down the league, and he takes the top off the defense. Let's move on because I got Marshall on the other line. We got to come back to this. This guy right here, Renee, real quickly.
No, I was just gonna say I like, it's always when you see a player get a lot of money. I like that they kept it going, as Antonio said. I like that they kept the energy going. People want to see other people get paid too. So yep. I think right now, like you said, they have this window. They better get it in while they can, and then make the decision. But Travis Kelsey is going to be the next one that they got to secure.
Yep, that's old Salt Bay. He's playing golf with Patrick Mahomes. All right, let's go to the phone lines here, live here on Esports Extra. Larry Ridley here. Renee Montgomery, two-time WNBA champ. Derwin Worrell, fellow sportscaster, National Association Black journalist. A. Willie, minus the hoodie. A. Will, Antonio Williams, former scout, professional with Nike, Red Sox, Phoenix Suns, Chicago Bulls, you name it. He's been all over. He's a sports connoisseur. Let's go to the phone lines here. We'll take your phone calls live at 877-853-5247. Meeting ID, esports extra 377-678-9872 at the pound button twice to join the show. All right, let's go live here. Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports. Bring in my buddy from CBS, Sacramento, sat down. Marshall Harris, I got a couple of words for you, bro. More cowbell.
You know what? That's a double entendre with me when you talk about more cowbell, because it's more cowbell out here because everybody knows the cowbell, Lakers, Kings, way back in the day. But, Mississippi State grad right here.
Absolutely.
Like Hell State. We ring them bells in the stands. So, yeah. You know what? The Kings need a whole lot more than cowbells, though, right now. It is not looking good right now for a team that, if you remember, post All-Star break had the third best record in the NBA. They were 7-3. They beat the Clippers. They were beating up on fellow bubble teams like Memphis. And then the shutdown happens, and now you got two guys who are still in Sacramento, Harrison Barnes, starting small forward, Alex Len.
Yep.
And the worst news, this is hot off the presses. De'Aaron Fox sprains his left ankle.
Oh, no.
Reevaluated in 7 to 10 days.
Oh, boy. Well, they're going to be playing games in about 12, 15 days. So that's not good. Talking here to CBS Sacramento sports director Marshall Harris, fellow NABJ member. I've seen him on NBC Sports. I work at SNY. He worked at NBC Sports Philadelphia. He's been all over the place. Good buddy of mine. Let me switch gears a little bit and talk about one of the guys you did not mention, who's getting a lot of publicity this week for all the wrong reasons. Mr. Holmes, Rashawn Holmes, left the bubble, wanted a little Uber Eats, I guess. How is he doing? And he's self-quarantining, I guess, for another 10 days. How's that whole story playing out in Sacktown?
About how you would expect. I mean, he's supposed to be back on the 22nd. So, in theory, that's before, things really ramp up, and he's in great physical condition from what Luke Walton told us today. He's getting film and everything, but just going back to the sin of crossing the borderline. Luke Walton said on day one when he was there that he almost accidentally crossed the border. So I guess the NBA needs to do a better job of marking off where they are and are not allowed to go. Because, it's not a literal bubble. It's just there's a campus and you can't cross certain parts of it. So it's astonishing to me, to be honest, Larry, that this has happened. Rashawn Holmes is a great guy, model player. I covered him in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. He's grown a lot since he got here, but it just can't happen. It just can't happen. And the big question is, what did you cross the line for? I need to know what was on the menu. And
pecan pie. I actually know that he got pecan pie.
That's
is that what it is?
That's worth it for me. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I forget the restaurant name, but it was actually pecan pie.
Wow.
What's crazy is his mom was killing him on Twitter.
Yes.
She tweeted at him Like, only reason he needs to live in the bubble is for my cooking, and I'm not there. And she was having fun with her, ribbing them. So, you know, they're taking it in stride.
Right.
It's not the end of the world, but it's not a good look. And then for the Kings, as a team that just got Buddy Hield back in the bubble yesterday, today was his second practice. Like, that's their second leading scorer. Their leading scorer is now out for 7 to 10 days. It's not coming together like they had hoped for. You know, they just wanted to be included in the resumption of the season, and it's not looking good. But like 3 of their starters are legitimately sidelined right now.
All right, we're talking here live on esportsXTRA, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports here live on Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, and YouTube. Larry Ridley here, SNY TV, a little NBC Sports, a little Madden NFL, a little NBA 2K League as well. Talking to a good buddy of mine, CBS Sacramento Sports Director Marshall Harris. Marshall, you were just talking about Harrison Barnes averaging around 15 points a game, the only player to play in every single game for the Sacktown Kings. How much of an absence has he been for Sacramento? And it looks like he'll be back, right? He's going through the quarantine. He says he feels good, asymptomatic. What's the latest with Harrison Barnes?
Well, you know, we asked Luke Walton today, a couple of hours ago, actually, and he said, you know, nothing's changed. They're still in that quarantine protocol, both he and backup center Alex Lynn. But, you know, I saw a report from Shams today talking about negative tests and false negative tests. And there's a concern amongst NBA teams. And I'm wondering, is that just inside the bubble or is that league wide? Because, you know, he's coming up around that 14-day period. You know, this happened over July 4th weekend. Today's the 15th. So you would hope, you know, he'll get 2 negative tests here in the next 2 or 3 days and be allowed to enter the bubble. But if he's not, that's a huge blow for the Kings. He is one of their best defenders, if not their best defender. He's just an all-around good, solid player. He's not maybe the superstar people thought he would be coming out of North Carolina, but he's good, man, and he's more than a glue guy. He's like a glue guy, but more than a glue guy. He's not going to, you know, give you 30 points or anything, but he does everything right on both ends of the floor. So, and he plays both the 3 and the 4 when they go small ball. It's a devastating blow if he doesn't get back. And Luke Walton said we hope they can get back, but we're preparing as if those guys won't be back.
Yeah, you look at Harrison Barnes, the only Kings player to play in every game this year. He's played in all 64, averaging around 15 points a game. Definitely an important piece, a guy that's played in big games with the Mavs and, of course, Warriors in the past. Before I let you go, Marshall, really thank you for taking some time out there on the West Coast, man. What are the Kings' chances right now? 4 guys with COVID-19 or have had COVID-19. Getting to the bubble, a little undermanned. De'Aaron Fox, possible ankle injury. You look at them right now, I believe 10th or 11th out west, but they did get invited, one of the 13 teams from the Western Conference, to make it to the Mouse House in Central Florida. 3.5 games back of the 8th and final spot with the Grizzlies. Can they make up this ground? Can they get into this 8-9 fight? What kind of odds do you give the Kings to fight their way into this 8-9 matchup and possibly make it into the playoffs?
I honestly love their chances before all of this happened. Like when it first came out and we got the schedule, I was like, okay, the Kings are good to go to get to the 9 spot. Here's the way they played the Pelicans twice in those 8 seeding games. If they were to split with the Pelicans, they could get in with a 6-2 record. And their schedule's pretty easy. They start with, the San Antonio Spurs, who don't have LaMarcus Aldridge. They play a Magic team that isn't really that good. I mean, the Kings were playing very good basketball. But now when you look at the cohesion it takes to get things back together, get the gel, not knowing when Harrison Barnes will be back, not knowing when De'Aaron Fox will return, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to get it done. I really like their chances before. Now, it's hard for me to see them pulling past Portland, who, they're tied in the standings games back-wise, but they have to have a better record than Portland because of percentage points, because they played less games than Portland. So I like their chances. I like their chances past tense. And unless De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes can play, I don't like their chances at all.
Well, I mean, let's stay positive, Marshall. You still got 15 days, man. Maybe it's just an ankle sprain. Get him off his ankle or his foot for a week, and maybe Harrison Barnes comes back, later this week or early next week. Get Lynn and those guys back. Rashawn, keep him in the bubble. Tell him no freaking pecan pie, no apple pie, no chocolate pie, no damn pie. And I think you guys will be okay. Any last thoughts, Renee, Derwin, or Antonio, to ask Marshall anything before we go? Anybody? Anybody?
Nah, I was just gonna say, did you hear about Jimmy Buckets getting a security complaint because he was dribbling in the hallway? So I heard you mention
what he does.
Oh
That man he's notorious. He's like, I'm gonna let y'all know if y'all sleep, I'm working. So don't sleep on me. So I was not surprised at all. At 3 a.m. he's out here waking people up because he's bouncing the ball. It's crazy, but it's Jimmy Butler to a T. Because that's his MO for life.
The Bubble Chronicles, huh?
Wow. Well, you look at that Miami Heat team. They got a couple of buckets on there. You got Jimmy Buckets, and then you got Tyler Hero, who is a bucket when he was at the University of Kentucky, a walking bucket. So, yeah. Hey, Marshall, really appreciate it, man. We're going to lean on you, man, with anything that has to deal with Sacramento and the Kings, man. Hopefully they make a run, man. We can get you back on the show. But anytime, man, you want to join us, and come on, man, we really appreciate it. All right, brother?
All right, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great one. Thanks for having me.
All right, good stuff, man. Good buddy of mine, Marshall Harris, CBS Sacramento sports director out there in Sacktown, NorCal is what they like to call it out there in Cali, talking about the Kings. Yeah, what do you think, guys' thoughts on the Kings? I love the Rashawn Holmes. That's why I wanted him to come on, because he was, making news Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, all right, let me get my boy Marshall on to talk about Rashawn Holmes. Can't freaking stand the bubble. What the hell is the bubble? Is there a line? Is it like a
there's like perimeters, and that's what he meant. It's like everybody thought it was so simple. Like, wait, why would you leave the bubble? No, there's actually places that you just can't go inside of Disney. So it's not as simple as like, what are you thinking? It could accidentally happen, as Coach Walton said.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything else, guys? Derwin, Antonio?
I guess I gotta paint a yellow line somewhere or something to say don't cross that
line. You need to put a perimeter. You got lines on a basketball court. Put a damn perimeter around it, right?
Yeah. Something needs to be done.
Have somebody, I don't know, somebody else go get his food or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
But imagine how many people would have to be working that if every player wanted something to be ran to them. I mean, that's a lot of different people inside the bubble now needing the help. So it's kind of,
not only that, you're meeting people outside the bubble.
Right, yeah. So you got to stay in. I mean, so I guess they have no choice but to get their food from the bubble.
They do.
That's the only way.
Pretty much.
That's what it's looking like.
Pretty much. We'll keep it in the NBA and the bubble. We were talking about it. We heard about Drake and Hotline Bling, but the lines are blowing up in the National Basketball Association. The NBA hotline, aka the snitch line. Rudy Gobert called it petty because they have this NBA snitch line going on. Spencer Dinwiddie said, he was telling my old colleague Taylor Rooks the other day, don't call the snitch line. So this thing is making its way around. You guys' thoughts on the NBA, putting this out there and, implementing this snitch line so people can call and sort of making complaint on people that have not stayed in the bubble and that are going awry of the law. What are we doing here? Are we freaking K9 cops?
I guess the NBA is just trying to protect their investment.
Cops?
They don't want people going outside the bubble and contaminating everybody when they come back. So I can't be mad at the NBA trying to do everything that they can to keep everyone safe, keep their investments safe, and make sure that everyone's healthy and doesn't have COVID to play this game.
Hey, Willie, I thought there was a bro code, Renee Montgomery. You've been in there, a sisterhood, a brotherhood. What the hell happened, man?
I don't know who's calling that line. I can tell you right now, I probably wouldn't be somebody calling the line, but it takes me back to something that J.R. Smith was like, these are tracking you know how J.R. Smith was, it seemed like he was being very dramatic. And he's like, they're trying to track us. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. Well, now that this hotline has come out, maybe J.R. Smith is onto something. I'm not saying they're tracking them, but to see that they've actually made a hotline to tell on people, it's not far-fetched to think that there is a tracking device. And that's easy to do. Like all of our phones do it automatically everywhere we are. That's why they know when we post a photo from 2 years ago exactly where it was. So it's not a crazy concept that devices track you.
Yeah, I've got the number. It's 1-800 get snitches. Get snitches.
What I want to know is there any reward for calling this
out? Oh my goodness.
1-800 go snitches. Go snitches. I'm putting it out there. Look, I guarantee you call right now, 888 go snitches. it will ring the bubble in Orlando right now. Triple A, go Snitches. Hey, Willie, your thoughts, man? What are they doing, man? Is it the Broco? What are we doing here?
I understand everyone wanting to be safe. It's part of the reason why, for me, as much as I need this to come back, I've always said it's almost like when you're buying a car, you got to move too much of a mountain to get it. If you got to do all of this just to play, maybe we shouldn't be playing. But the second thing I'll say as well is I get it that everyone wants to stay safe, but when you have this snitch hotline, you basically have created another aisle. Right.
Well, what's so funny? That's what they're calling it. It's not the hotline.
That's not what the NBA calls it.
That's what it is.
It's just comical to me. I mean, in the sense that if I see somebody, I'm going to say something. That's why I think it's funny to me, because the way that I move, that is like crazy. I'm not going to snitch. I'm going to be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, if I saw it, I'm going to be like, yo, what are you doing, bro? Like, now you're trying to get me sick. I'll make a joke out of like, so now you want to get everybody sick. Like, I would say something then. I wouldn't see them and be like, oh, let me call the hotline. Like, that's bizarre to me. So it's not even the hotline. It's the fact that, like, we're talking about athletes here. Talk to each other. We communicate. Like, if I see, and I grant you, if it's LeBron James, you're not going to tell LeBron to back up from the line. But I'm just saying, if I see somebody like, whoa, what you doing? Don't make me call that hotline. Like, I would joke about it. Like, but I would say something.
But hold on a second. But if you see LeBron and you play for the Clippers and you see LeBron left the bubble, you not calling that line?
It's game right.
I'm calling the line.
I'm actually not.
LeBron need to go for 14 days and miss a couple of games.
Right. Lakers, number 23, James, step outside. Get him.
Right. Gamesmanship. No question.
That's hilarious.
That's exactly what I was going to say, what Renee said. We always hear about good teams always police themselves, right? And I'm just in the mindset that, hey, if I see something, I'm like, hey, man, you need to probably get on back on this side. And so, right? But they've actually created an aisle now. So it's now we got, and you're seeing it play out in public, where you got some of even former players that are in the media now are saying, what are people doing? Calling people stupid, all of these different things. You created another aisle on an issue where it shouldn't be an aisle, right? And so when all of this information comes out in the public, Joe Q Public now says, look, see, here are these athletes again. And on one respect, they want to be more than an athlete. And then on another respect, you can't even trust them to do the right things. So with that being said, it should not be an aisle. The players should be able to police themselves. And you should, as Renee said, be secure enough in your voice. And, hey, dog, come on back on this side.
What you doing?
It's just like a locker room or a clubhouse or a dressing room in hockey. You let the players police themselves. Absolutely.
No question.
But I have a question for you guys. What happens to snitches?
Well, you know what Carmelo said?
It's anonymous.
Stop snitching.
No.
They get dunked on?
And that's my guy. Carmelo's stop snitching.
No, you know what happens. What happens to snitches, man?
Well, you know what, I don't want to say it.
What is it? D'Angelo Russell found that out, didn't he? So we know what actually happens to snitches in the basketball world. They get shunned. I think they weren't even passing them the ball at a certain point. So
throws them out.
And so Nick, what happens to snitches?
Where do they end up?
Where do they end up?
I think he wants us to say snitches get stitches. Is that what you want on your laptop? We know what you want.
Snitches end up with stitches.
Supporting that message. Yeah. All I'm saying is there needs to be peer pressure that you don't necessarily have to do that. Obviously, they're making that snitch line for a reason. People have left the bubble. Like you don't make something for no reason. Like if it never happened, you're like, hey, let's make a stitch line. They probably found some information out. And now they're like, hey, we need to get that information on a normal basis. Let's just create this line. So I think the story is who actually left the bubble.
Left the bubble. And
sure.
You know what?
Well, that's how you can publicly shame them too. You can use that.
And I think we're not looking at this. This might be an incentive for people not to leave the bubble, because who wants to get caught now outside of the bubble? Right. And now you can have you talk about policing yourself, you police your own team. But once again, what if you have team A see guys from team B leave, or they know they left the bubble? Maybe they might have to snitch.
Well, I mean,
So,
in the regular NBA,
Darwin.
I mean, when you go to Miami, people leave the bubble all the damn time. Trust me, I used to see them in some of these spots. So
okay.
it's like, I mean, and in the A as well. Renee knows all about that being in Atlanta as well. I'm like, come on, people go out of the bubble all the time. But you're right, just let the players police themselves. But it was a good topic. So I do want to hear more about the snitches. Hopefully no one ends up in stitches. We don't want that. We're not gonna
Right.
advocate violence.
Right.
That's what I was told. That's what a little birdie told me.
Mhm.
I was trying to skate on thin ice and not say it.
Right. I know. I kept saying like somebody gonna say it.
I know. He was begging for it. I said, Larry laptop, let me give him what he wants.
All right, we'll keep it in the NBA. We were just talking about Jimmy Buckets a little while ago. Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat star, still one of the top, 20, 25 players in the NBA. Can get you some buckets. Straight dog. Love his attitude. Will not be wearing his name or any of the slogans or messages that the NBA came up with that list of 20-something messages from social justice causes and reforms and Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. So your thoughts on this? When I first read, I was like, oh, okay. And then when you read it, makes complete sense because Jimmy is saying, when I leave here, not only am I just a guy, I'm a Black man. And when we all leave this arena, that's what we all are. No matter what we all do here, no much how much we're celebrated, no matter how much we're insulated, when we leave our homes, when we leave the workplace and go in our homes, when we go out into the real world, that's what we are. We are African American men and women, and will be seen as such. So I had no problem with Jimmy Butler coming to this consensus. I actually think it's doing a good job and created people to sort of rethink what they think about when they look at these issues with the no name there. We'll start with you, Renee, since you've been part of this movement here.
Yeah, so I think we saw with LeBron James in a sense of when players don't get to choose something, like when players don't have an active control in what's going to happen with them, their jersey, you can see that a lot of players just maybe not feeling it. And so I see what he did in a sense that he was like, I'm going to control my own narrative. They gave them certain things that they can put on the back of their jersey. You saw LeBron James saying, look, I didn't really like any of the stuff that they offered. Not that I wasn't involved in it. Not that it's okay. He made sure it's like, it's okay that I wasn't involved in it. I wasn't involved in the process, so I'm just going to do my own thing. Like, so you can kind of see, I mean, these are NBA players that are used to making decisions at the highest level. So he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. So I'm not surprised. And again, when you see his reasoning, it's like, okay, I see what he's doing. So he's making his own statement on the back, basically by having no statement.
Yeah, good stuff there. Derwin, your thoughts, man? Jimmy Butler, no name, no slogan, no message.
I don't have any problem with his reasoning behind it. But I think the NBA definitely dropped the ball, not allowing their players to pick their own names and kind of keeping them in a bottle and saying you can only choose these. Because I'm going to go back to LeBron. He is your premier player. He's your king. He's your top player. People wanted to see what LeBron James would have put on the back of his jersey. And being that you were trying to control the narrative and then give him an opportunity to choose, you've kind of taken that away. So now you have players like, as Renee said, that just might not be feeling it now. They want to just control their own narrative and do their own thing. So hey, Jimmy Butler's his own man. I have no problem with him choosing not to wear any name on his jersey.
Hey, Willie, Renee brought up a very good point, not being part of the process, if you will, being consulted, if you will, about potential names and ideas, slogans, messages on the back of his jersey. But I'm still sort of looking at and laser focused on him also saying, when I leave this arena, I'm just a Black guy. That's what I am. And that's the message that I took from it. I want to get your thoughts on it because Renee is absolutely right on the other side as well.
No, I agree 100% with what you're saying. And, it sort of goes back to one of the things when I first was able to fellowship with you guys on this show that I said where you're superhuman on the floor and it says Butler on his jersey. Then once he gets off the floor, some people look at him as subhuman. So he's actually bringing attention to that. Absolutely. And the other thing with Jimmy Butler, I'm not surprised that he did that because Jimmy Butler was able to, one of the things that he was able to do is work himself into being one of the 15 or 20 best players in the league. Well, in addition to his work ethic, the other thing that requires is some smarts as well. So Jimmy Butler has always thought outside the box. And, the fact that he was dribbling at 3 a.m. or whatever time it was in the morning in the hotel is indicative of that. So, and that that ability to think and process things and kind of change on the fly is part of the reason why he's worked himself into being the player that he is. So for him to have this response, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and he spoke to the media yesterday, had some, pretty eloquent remarks explaining his thought process and why he arrived at this. And he says, "I've decided not to wear any name," and I thought he did a very good job of explaining what was going through his heart and through his mind. So I've got no problems with it. Jimmy Butler's a different dude. When I
Yeah.
played, we used to say that he's just a different cat, and he is for all the right reasons. If you really get to know him and you listen to him, the guy's got some depth to him. He's a smart dude. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I know he had the incidents with, in Minnesota and things like that. Look, he's
all calculated.
And he's a guy.
All
He's a guy's
calculated.
guy. He's an alpha dog, and I got no problem with it. So I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan. So I had no problem with him going with no.
And I
rest.
wanted to add something real quick.
But-
I saw CJ McCollum and Kent Bazemore had education reform on the back of their jerseys. So I actually reached out to them because that's kind of what I'm going into. And those guys were so gracious and like welcoming me into that. So just to highlight the positive of on the name of the back of the jersey, I can see where the NBA is going with that because it allowed me to identify players that have like-minded ideas. Like, so I saw, hey,
point.
CJ is going into education reform, and so is Kent. So I reached out to them. I'm like, because I know now that we have the same interest. So I would say there are perks to certain things on the back of their jerseys like that.
Boy, you know what? I'm so proud of you, man. You got an army behind you now. You got so many daggone brothers. Nobody can mess with Renee Martinez.
I like that.
No doubt about
Hey,
that.
Ludacris said, "I've got, you know what, in different area codes. You got bros
I've
in different
got
area
bros.
codes.
I've got bros.
I've got bros in different area codes.
Area codes. No, but I think that that's the most beautiful part of everything that's happening with this movement. You just start to
Absolutely.
see a lot of unity. So I'm here for it.
Man, you're right about that. Let's go down to Renee's, not her hometown, but the town that she resides in right now. We call it the ATL, ATLians, Hot Atlanta, whatever you want to call it. The Braves did decide they're going to keep the Braves name. They've worked with Native American culture and groups before. They seem to be on pretty good footing with that. I haven't really heard a whole lot about changing their name there, but they did say they will look into the CHOP. Now, the CHOP, for you guys that don't know, it originated once Deion Sanders got there. Played baseball, the two-sport star. Played with Florida State. I think it came from Florida State to Atlanta. So your thoughts on, on the Braves looking into the CHOP? Should they take it away? Should they ban it? I'm all about, look, whatever Native American organization says, that's what you should do. It's that simple. It's not very hard to me. If I get any smoke, I back off. If they think it's, showing, great respect for their culture, that's fine. I know they like Warriors. I know they like certain names. I think they're okay with Braves. If that's fine. That's fine. It's not very hard. Why is this so difficult? Your thoughts on the CHOP and should it stay or should it go? Renee, you're in the A. You started.
Well, okay. So speaking of the Native American community, there's a leader in Fawn, and I don't want to mess up her last name, but people will know when I say Fawn because she's over multiple communities. But she was talking about how in 1968 they started to send a resolution in to get the Washington name changed in the NFL. She also stated that they did have a problem with the tomahawk or the whatever gesture that it is, and so I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't like it. It was same with Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, that they
Yep.
thought that was going to be a problem. And then the Irish
Mhm.
community was like, yeah, no, that's not a problem. So I agree with you, Larry, in a sense of if the Native Americans got a problem with it, I got a problem with it. If the Irish community doesn't have a problem with the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame, I don't have a problem with it. I think we should listen to the people that it affects because they know more about their own culture. We're seeing that now just with Black culture. They know more about their history. They know more about why it's offensive. So how can we tell somebody that it's not?
Daryl, when they look into the CHOP, what do you think will be found in this? What will they find looking into this and doing some research and deciding whether or not to keep it or let go of the CHOP, which has been around since, like I said, you got to go back to the early 90s?
I've always said it got to go. And it's got to go because it wasn't theirs to begin with. They hijacked it for Florida State.
Sure.
And Florida State had been doing it for years. And I understand, Deion Sanders played at Florida State.
Well, but you got to look at it. It's like having different mascots and different names. That's a little different. 12th man, is that Seattle or is that Texas A&M? I think it's A&M, but whatever, right?
Yeah, as for me personally, as someone who grew up watching Florida State football, loved Deion Sanders, that's where I first saw it. And
Sure.
I'm used to Florida State doing
No,
it.
they definitely had it first.
Right.
Just like
And
Texas
then
A&M
out
had
of
to
the
put a fan
blue,
before Seattle too.
I didn't even really associate it with Dion at first. But then when they started doing it, like maybe early 90s, I'm like, yeah, just ripped off Florida. Why don't you find your own thing to do?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how has been my stance on it. Now, if the community in Atlanta, the tribal community there feels that it needs to be removed, then it needs to be removed. They need to stop doing it. Kansas City, they do this. They're doing the chop too. I don't even know when they started doing it. But once again, find your own thing to do.
So Durham was like basically like, quit biting.
Yeah, stop biting.
So,
you know where I'm from, biting is not allowed.
That's right.
Biting's not allowed. So,
hey, it's a different take. I give them that. It's a different take.
Let them do something else. Now, the mascot that the Braves had a couple of years ago, I thought was offensive. I thought that mascot was worse than Chief Wahoo. If you remember the red-faced mascot.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
That's like a
terrible.
Second or third.
That was
They got rid of that. And I know today when I was doing a little bit of research, I read that the Braves are not thinking about changing their names. And they also brought up in the article the Chicago Blackhawks, the hockey team. They're not changing their name either.
Which is definitely one of the more iconic Native American symbols. The Blackhawks have been around a long time, dude.
Yeah.
They go back 20s and 30s. You know what I'm saying? They were one of the original 6 teams.
Yeah, so for me, in closing, the only team that should be doing that tomahawk chop is the Florida State Seminoles. They have the permission from the Florida Seminole tribe of Florida.
And they do a lot with the Seminole tribe.
They do a lot with them. They work with them.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. And they're fine. But everybody else, stop biting. Find your own thing to do.
Stop biting. That's what you get for biting. See, I didn't even know that the native tribe in Florida gave them permission. And so that's what y'all get for biting. See, they did it right. And then y'all bit off of them and y'all didn't even have permission. They don't even like what you're doing. And now you're in trouble and you have to get a whole nother name.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Said, stop biting. Hey, Willie, your thoughts on the chop, man? Should it stay or should it go?
First, I think the city of Atlanta owes Dion a lot of money. My man brought the chop to the Braves. He also got the Georgia Dome built. He told Andre Rison, "This is my house."
He did,
right?
He punched him in the face.
So he told him. So the city of Atlanta owes that man a lot of money. Get that man his paper. So, but when you look at that, though, as everybody was saying, when I was at Nike, I worked a lot with Florida State's men's basketball program when I was in sports marketing there. Shout out to Coach Ham,
Leonard Hamilton.
That's the man. That's the man. So with that being said, we did a lot with N7. We did N7 uniforms. We did N7 footwear. And that was to honor the Seminole tribe at Florida State. So I tend to go with what everyone else is saying in terms of if it's offensive to them, then we need to stop it. And to answer your question, Larry, as to why it's so difficult, it's because we have a certain group of people in this country that can offend everybody along the way. And all it means is they can be successful, right? So that's a major issue that we have where everybody else, when we are trying to be successful, we have to make sure that we're not offending people along the way. And so I think that's something that we should pay attention to. It's something that now that we have this spotlight on everything, it's something that we should keep that movement going and keep it moving. And then the other thing for me, I'll say is really quick, is a lot of, speaking of offending people and you can still be successful, a lot of these things that we see represent sensationalized caricatures of a group of people. And it's not really representative of that group of people. It's just some sensationalized image. And I've said this before, the problem with that is oftentimes people do not interact with that group that's depicted in a mascot. So they think that's how all of those people are.
Sure.
So it is very dangerous to have these caricatures.
Like blackface back in the early 1900s.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right. So with that being said, if it's offensive to a group, we need to shut it down immediately.
Hey, I'm with you. Well said, man. I'll leave it right there, dude. Can't say it any better than that. Let's go back to the hardwood. WNBA, Renee Montgomery, I want you to take this over. Elena Della Don, she's got a very difficult decision to make. The WNBA, they're not going to let her opt out without getting paid out, and get paid at the same time with the Lyme disease, the COVID-19. What's the latest? What's going on here with Elena Della Don? I feel bad for her. I don't know why they're putting the reigning MVP in this position right here.
It's wild. It's really wild. And I was wondering when this was going to happen in a sense of a player, because I asked on the call, I don't know, I asked maybe 4 weeks ago, I asked on one of the calls, and I'm like, so if a player wants to opt out and they think that they have reasoning to opt out, and the doctor, a doctor of the WNBA's choosing, says that they can't opt out, what's going to happen? Like, I asked that question a long time ago. Like, a
Why
player
can't she
actually
get a
feels like they're
second
not safe.
opinion? That happens all the time.
Well, I'm sure she did. I'm sure she came with, first you come with your doctor's note saying that
Sure.
you can opt out, and then they go and check that note and then check and see if you can in fact opt out. So that's why, and people are like, well, why is this happening so late? Because of that process. First she got her doctor. He said, yes, you have Lyme disease. I do believe that you're high risk. You are able to opt out. Then she presents it to the WNBA and they review it. So they reviewed a lady that is taking 64 to 67 pills a day and told her that she is not she doesn't meet the requirements. I guess it's
Mm.
like, it's just not a good look. I don't know how else to say it. It's not a good
Not,
look when there's
not.
COVID going on, there's a pandemic. And I said it before, for whatever reason a player wants to opt out, I think this is a season where, and I know that we're talking money here because obviously she can opt out and not receive pay, but when somebody actually has a good argument in the sense that she has Lyme disease, something
Right.
that weakens the immune system, that
Absolutely.
it seems a little bit bizarre.
Yeah, Derwin, you look at it, service time. I mean, she's given her time. She's been nothing but a model citizen. Been brought positive results and press and coverage and messaging to the WNBA. She's got this disease. My problem is you've got these doctors. You can get 10 doctors lined up and get 10 different answers from them. That's my problem. Why does the WNBA doctor have the final say in this when you can get an opinion from any damn doctor or any medical professional, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, maybe I'm crazy. Take care of your people. Take care. That's the MVP of your league, your best player, a
Right.
model citizen. Do the right thing. Take care of your people. Take care of your player. I don't. I mean, that's what makes sense to me. They should take care of her. Whether she has to opt out because COVID is going on right now, is dangerous for her health. Do the right thing. I don't know if it's that easy, but that's what I would say. That's what I would do. They should take care of her.
Hey, Willie, what's going on here, man? Why is this an issue for the WNBA? They've had a lot of positive press recently. Great virtual draft, the first one to get off the floor during this pandemic. A lot of people supporting the ladies. We've got our dear friend here, Renee Montgomery. A lot of good stuff with the WNBA, and then they drop this. It's like, this is a loser, man. Over one
Right.
damn salary, you eat that every damn day of the week. It'd be different, and it would be different actually if it was like the 12th person on the bench.
That's what I was gonna
Some
say.
12, but this is your MVP. This is the face of
Yeah.
you. Renee, correct me if I'm wrong. Is she not the best player in the NBA, WNBA right now?
I mean, that's always debatable, but she had the best season last year and led her team to a championship, and she's the reigning MVP. I don't think any of those things matter. Honestly, I think that if you have a player that actually has a disease, like, that's not a common thing for athletes to be living with a disease that they have to upkeep at all times. So you
Sure.
already have a player, it's well publicized that she has this problem.
Right.
I don't get it.
I
I
don't
feel
get it.
like I'm missing something. I
I
don't
don't get it.
get it.
Hey, Willie, so
Antonio, yeah.
if you're playing in the NFL and you're diabetic, you're not going to let them opt out? I mean, what the hell are we doing here?
Right. It makes zero sense at all. And to your point, to everybody's point, I've been very happy with some of the things that the W has done in terms of partnering with the Players Association
Mhm.
and taking care of the players. So to see this is very alarming. And one of the things that, from a league perspective, it seems as if the league is nimble and adapts quick to the things that they want to adapt quick to. And then there are
Right.
other things that they hide behind bureaucracy and red tape. And this is the process, and you have to follow the process. And it seems as if they're picking and choosing which side they're on, depending on the issue. And one of the things that she was saying, which is unfortunate, that she feels, is because she's the MVP, because she won the title, all of those things, the league feels like in order to try and recoup some of that revenue, that they're going to place her out there in harm's way and almost force her hand and try to buffalo her into playing. And I don't
That's what
think
they're doing.
And I don't, but then the Mystics actually said whether she plays or not, that they're going to pay her.
Good.
Which is good.
That's great.
So that came out just as we started.
I was about to say that must have been early.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't see that either.
I thought I had read that, but I just double checked it, and I'm reading an article here now that says they are committed to paying her salary even if she does not play this year. Good. The Mystics said they're going to pay her.
Good.
Yeah. So she's going to get paid regardless, which is good. And then the Pacers also took the same stance with Victor Oladipo, because his salary is kind of
that's a little tricky though, because they're saying we want to do it, but they're gonna acquiesce to the league. That's the problem. Right. They want to do it because they want to keep the open dialogue, try to resound them all those things with free agents and things. But the league will make the final decision on that, because I do understand it from a league perspective. You open the door, and it's like opening the floodgates. But some serious issue like this, Lyme disease, that's that attacks your immune system. That's just, we know someone that has Lyme disease. Coach K, we know we had him on the show a couple of months ago. Tyler Davis, T. Davis, Madden champ, and also Madden broadcaster, color analyst, did all the Fox stuff for EA Sports and Madden NFL. He has Lyme disease, so we know exactly what this disease can do. He's still living with it. It's something that he's got to deal with on a daily basis. This is not some damn kid that's got a fever or a common cold.
Right.
Look at it as like someone has that's diabetic. Go out there and play. Like, okay,
right. And then the other thing for me is I think it's the players. When you're looking at, and I know this from a branding perspective when I was at Nike. Yep. Yes, you want to take platforms that resonate organically with the player and try to leverage those, whether it's at retail or for more awareness. You want to do that. But at the same time, again, when I was at Nike, again, we said, listen to the athlete. Yeah. If the player does not want to divulge about their particular condition or their particular lot, that should be up to them. So one of the things that really resonated with me is Elena said, this was a private fight. Yes, people know that I have Lyme disease, but I didn't want to go into the semantics and the particulars of it. Right. Now she is forced to divulge things that she didn't want to do.
Sure.
She didn't want to talk about. So that's the other thing that I have a problem with as well, especially in a place where we have HIPAA laws, right? So why is she forced to talk about her lot? It just doesn't make sense to me, especially with where the league is going. It's kind of contradictory to how the league was moving before we got here.
It's funny you bring that up, because these leagues are struggling with that right now. Do we put out and let everyone know what the test results are for some of these patients or some of these athletes that do contract COVID-19 or get the disease? So they're certainly working through that, but it's a very, very valid point when you talk about the HIPAA laws in this country. So we'll see how they work through it. I'm glad that the Mystics stepped up to the plate and gave the reigning MVP, the defending champs, doing a great job. Still would have liked to see those Atlanta Dream go after him, though, man. Renee and my girl, I want to see those Dream go after the Mystics, though. That would have been.
I know, but the Mystics don't have their starting point guard in Natasha Cloud, their MVP in Elena Deladon, Tina Charles, their center. They recently signed. So I'm actually glad to see that the Mystics didn't just sit on that and be like, all right, well, the season's trash anyway. Like, they're still, I don't even know how they're going to pay her as far as like salary, but maybe they're bringing in younger players. I mean, a less amount of players in a sense that we can do 11 or 12, but wow, that's impressive.
It is,
and I think Derwin, did you have something?
No, I'm just glad that they stepped up and did the right thing.
I was making sure I didn't cut you off. I was making sure I didn't cut you off.
Good. Well, hopefully, everything's back to normal. Hopefully there's a therapeutic or definitely a vaccine by the spring next year. And then we can get you guys back on the court next summer, man. Because I want to see you, Renee. I want to see you do your thing. I want to come down to the A and watch a game. I want front row tickets, though. Like, I don't even get those. What do you think this is? I'm an expensive date, Renee. You guys
I might have to get you as close to the wood as we can get you.
I'm bringing the whole crew. Me, A. Willie, D-Dubs, OG.
I like that.
We're all coming. Last stop before we get out of here. Matt 99 Club, it's out. We saw Patrick Mahomes on Monday, Christian McCaffrey yesterday, Aaron Donald and the 99 Club. I believe that's 3 or 4 straight years for him. And I believe Stephon Gilmore will be announced tomorrow. That's the 4th member. But you guys' thoughts on my homeboy and Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Donald, and Stephon Gilmore, although Stephon Gilmore has not been announced yet.
Aaron Donald's a beast. He's always been a beast. So hopefully they have him at D tackle and not defensive end on the game coming up. Because I think last year they had him at D end. He's really a tackle, unless you're playing in a 3-4. But,
well, they talked about all the stats and all the attributes and the characteristics of the top defensive tackles this year. So maybe I think they made it.
And then Christian McCaffrey is a beast. He catches the ball, comes out, up the gut, out of the backfield. He does everything. So it's not surprising there. Patrick Mahomes, 99. Gilmore is the one that has me scratching my head a little bit. He gets a lot of respect. He's a top-notch corner. I wonder. I see him at 99. I wonder
you look at his advanced metrics. You look at the PFF and all that other stuff. Like his completion percentage against is like top 2 or 3 in the league. He usually leads the league. I think last year he led the league. So like he's the last 2 or 3 years he's been one of the top corners as far as throwing against. You definitely don't want to go against them as far as the analytics what they show. So I kind of buy it.
Okay. Yeah, he's always pretty good on the game. Normally he's better man-to-man coverage than zone coverage on the video game, but pretty much all 4 of those guys well-deserved.
Renee, did you see the bling? Patrick Mahomes and those guys that got some chains and some other stuff? Yeah.
You know what I always think of? I wonder how much does that play into, like, coaches? Like, I just would, like in the locker room, I'm be like, bro, I'm 99. Don't talk to me. I know you've seen it come out, but I'm being serious because you would have no idea everything coaches look at. Like, I get shocked at the things that I think don't matter that coaches really look at. So I wonder if coaches are really looking like, he's a 99 player. Like, let's not take it. Like, I wonder. When I hear those things, I know it's a game, and I know people might think that's crazy, but I've seen coaches tallying crazier things to factor in as a player's like validity almost. So I'm just curious, how does those 99s like? Does that help a player? I wonder. Like, I feel like it would. So I'm just curious about that aspect of it.
I mean, it's respect. Big respect.
Yeah, there's a certain level of respect that comes with a 99.
Absolutely. Hey, Willie, bump the coaches. What about the players? They're bitching and moaning about, oh, where's my ratings? And got these Madden adjusters out there. Everyone, Renee, they're all on Twitter.
Oh, my rating's trash on NBA 2K. I've been told multiple times. People are upset. So it's the thing.
It's not right, Renee. I can tell you that it's not right.
It's not right. They did it dirty.
And Renee, this is coming from a point guard nerd. This is not right.
Yeah, they did me wrong on NBA 2K. I keep hearing it.
What's your overall rating?
We got to holler at you about that.
What is your overall rating on 2K?
They gave me a 78, and it's like, they gave me a 78, and then they called me
disrespectful.
But the part that I wasn't even disrespected about that part, they called me a slasher. Like, I'm on the game as a slasher, and I'm like, what?
So no, Renee, the people that are gamers that are also W fans like us, like when the ratings first came out, we were hot about some ratings for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate that.
This is serious business.
If I was building your archetype, your build would have been like an athletic finisher. You know what I'm saying?
A shooter, though. Shouldn't the shooter be the first part about?
Exactly. I would have just said smart, sharp. How about that?
I like smart, it. I'll take it. So I think that's why if I'm getting based on me being a slasher, I think I'm a 78. So I think that's what you're picking it on. You're right. I'm a 78. But if we're talking about point guard shooter, I should be a little bit higher. However, I don't really care, but I know that guys don't play about that stuff.
Well, I know some of the
gamers don't.
I know some of the pictures that we have of you in the archives. There are a bunch of pictures of you slashing and driving.
That's only because I shoot. Like, you got to understand basketball to know why I have wide open layups. They don't want me to shoot a 3. They're like, we'll take a layup. Like, so that's basketball.
Yeah. That's when you know you're a bad girl. Like, she be talking. Well, I know you're trying to be humble. Stop it, Cam Newton. I'm tired of being humble.
That Cam Newton.
Speaking of Cam, he's talking a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm ready to see that.
As am I. No doubt.
All right, good stuff.
No doubt.
We'll end it here with Compete Forever on Black News Channel. Back again this weekend. 7th episode this Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern and also 6 p.m. Eastern. Also on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Eastern. Both days, it's our Compete Forever Madden NFL Electric City Classic. This time inside the Rivers Casino Sportsbook. We opened it up months ago. in Schenectady at Rivers Casino in Schenectady, the capital region, right next to Albany. So check it out Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern, both days. Madden NFL, Compete Forever, Electric City Classic. It was myself and Crash Jensen, the former Dolphins, like Swiss Army knife, played with Dan Marino. He was pretty funny, man, doing the Madden, dude. It was crazy, man. Supposed to be Bart. We had like some crazy stuff happen today. He was a last minute, like we literally called him Friday night. We had to buy him a plane ticket and everything. It was a mess, but the show turned out great. Like it looked good and everything, but just a little behind the scenes of what we have to deal with. Go ahead, you shaking your head back there, Coach K, but Crash Jim Jensen.
It was some interesting moments.
Oh, a lot of interesting moments. They don't get to see the sausage being made, but yeah, it was wild. Ashley Laotis, I believe, working the sidelines on this one. Is that right, Coach
Yeah.
K?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The championship game won in overtime on a walk-off touchdown. That's what I'll tell you. Great stuff leading up to it. It was a exciting ball game. So you'll see all of that this weekend on the Black News Channel.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. That's all I got, guys. Anybody got anything else? We gotta get out of here. I said we'll take about an hour. Win an hour in like 6 minutes.
We'll take it. I did notice that A-Dubs, was those shoes always there?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Are you a sneakerhead? Because I kept looking at those shoes all day today, so I was just gonna see her. He must be a sneakerhead. I can tell.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Nikes and
question.
Adidas.
All right.
I am.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we got
Yeah.
that covered, I'm
Yeah.
done.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Sure. Yeah. Word. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Larry. Hold on, man. Hold on. Always flexing, man.
No, it's just the way you said it. Yes. Yes.
As a matter of fact, it was a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
No.
You have to ask. Yes, I am. Damn it, I'm a sneakerhead. Yes, anything else?
It's hard to be in this game and not be.
Yes. Want to know anything else?
That's
Yes,
true.
I'm a sneakerhead.
It's hard to be in this game.
What the hell you mean? Yes, I'm
Wait a minute. Larry, don't get mad, man. Don't get mad because basketball has a fashion element and football doesn't. Oh, man.
Wait. Okay, where's the foghorns?
I don't want no smoke. I got 3 basketball people on here. I don't want no smoke.
Because I was ready. I was like, are we riding for basketball and football? All right, what's good?
Let's go.
Because we know we got the capologist, so we know where Derwin stands on
Right. And you know what? If we could quickly get D on our side, if we get Larry to say something about Cap or Cam, then he's right on our side.
Where you at, Derwin? You ride with football or basketball? If you have to choose, where you at, man?
Football all day. I'm sorry.
I knew it.
All day.
I'm not surprised.
D, how can you be with football and
Say
Cam
NASCAR,
Newton
say
and
NASCAR.
Kaepernick play football, man?
Those guys are irrelevant. Don't worry about those 2 guys.
That's different. That's different.
That's different. Those 2 guys have got 0 championships among themselves. Don't worry about it.
Gosh.
And you got your boy Cam Newton talking junk all week. Got these Patriot fans. I mean, if you can see some of the stuff on my Facebook board, Cam Newton talking about
Saw his outfit.
that McDaniel's going to open up a different playbook that he's never been able.
Oh, this is
on, man.
great.
Talk
Derwin,
your
you're
talk,
great.
Cam. Talk your talk,
Talk your
Cam.
talk, dog. Yes.
Can't wait to see all these excuses in a couple of months.
We gotta shut it down. Save it for tomorrow. I want that same energy. But I'm
Oh,
glad
it's great.
first time we've been on the same team, dude. It feels good, Derwin. Welcome, man. I missed you, brother.
And I'm the quarterback, Jack.
He gonna let you know I'm top. I'm running the show, okay?
Willie Beeman.
He said Willie Beeman.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
Good
that's
stuff.
great, you
Throw him
guys.
up, man. Throw him up. Throw him up to A, man.
Hey.
Throw him up. Yes, sir. Throw him up for Renee Montgomery. Guys,
Yep.
thank you, man, for Kevin Mamuzet pushing all the right buttons. Renee Montgomery down in the A. Derwin Worrell in one of the Palm Beaches, and Antonio Williams. He's in the DFW, the Metroplex. I'm Larry Ridley, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on more Esports Extra, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, where Antonio Williams used to trap. Bye-bye.
You see it.